Thank you, Steve. Great to be back up here, getting ready to talk about spring practice. I've missed seeing all of you. We had a pretty good rotation going there with our pretty good schedule. Me being up here weekly was we were announcing coaches, and we've gotten that under control. So looking forward to being back here with you guys regularly. Great seeing all of you today, and with our media policy that we're instituting this spring, eager for myself to be able to visit with you often, as well as our assistant coaches and players. I think it's important for you guys, and not just in the media, but all of our fan base, to have a chance to get to know these people and hear from these people as well. So looking forward to the opportunity to do that myself, and then with all of our program here also going forward. Before I start, just want to thoughts and prayers to anyone affected by some of the nasty weather in this area throughout the Southeast yesterday, as well as today. And know here in South Carolina, we have some nasty stuff coming in, so everyone be safe from that standpoint, and thinking of all those that were affected yesterday as we get into spring practice and spring sports, even more importantly, are in full bore. Want to continue to wish luck to all of our spring sports teams, and I know it's a big weekend in Columbia, just with home competitions with softball, beach volleyball, men's soccer, men's tennis, and women's soccer. I know all have are going to be competing here in Columbia between Saturday and Sunday and Friday. So looking forward. I'm going to try and get out myself and watch some of these teams compete, and would encourage all of the great Gamecock fan base to get out there and support these teams. And our number one ranked women's golf team, I don't believe is in town this weekend, but certainly congratulations to them on that number one ranking. I had a chance to play with Kaylin and some of her team a couple weeks ago, so it was fun watching those guys perform with my own eyes, and it's a talented group, and really excited for what they're doing, our men's golf team and all of our other spring sports. So wish all of them well. Baseball in Nashville this weekend, but looking forward to getting out to as many events as I can here as we go forward. And then certainly want to send out a huge good luck to Coach Staley and her team out in San Antonio as they get cranked up with the NCAA tournament. Really excited to watch those ladies compete. I've loved watching them all year, and looking forward to watching them win 6 more, hopefully, and bring another national championship back to Columbia. So please, Coach Staley, please know that we're cheering hard for you here in the football facility. Also, as we go forward, got Pro Day coming up next week. Will be a big day here in Columbia for a lot of the players off last year's team that'll be competing and performing in that. I believe as of now, we've got 4 NFL general managers that have already called to say that they're going to be here. We've got 2 NFL head coaches that have already called to say that they're going to be here, with countless number of scouts and other player personnel people as well. So really looking forward to watching our guys get out there and compete on Wednesday of next week, and we'll be kind of a who's who of the NFL here, it sounds like. Also, super fired up about starting spring practice. Love what our guys have been able to get done in the weight room. I've talked with you guys before. We pushed back spring practice primarily to give as much time as possible to Luke Day and his staff in the weight room. We needed that. That was extremely important for us, and I'm so thankful that we did. I was fired up about Luke and his staff when they came and when I hired them, and even more fired up now. They've been above and beyond anything that we as a coaching staff could have expected with what they've done with our players already. The gains that our guys have made in the weight room just in a short period of time with Luke, it's been really, really impressive to see, just to see how their testing numbers have improved, and whether it be the bench press or squats or broad jumps, vertical jumps, all that stuff. Our guys are getting better, they're getting stronger, they're getting faster, they're getting more explosive, and that's a testament to our players and the way that they've worked. And also a testament to Luke and his staff and what they've done down there in the weight room. We're a different looking football team than what we were in December when I got hired, and really fired up about where we are now, as well as where we're going. It'll be great to get out on the field. We've had a chance to do that a little bit with some of the competitive things we've been doing in the evenings, as many of you have seen on social media the last 4 or 5 weeks. That's been great, getting out there and being able to do those a couple nights a week. Along with those, we've been doing what the NCAA allows with walkthroughs very limited in what you can do from a football standpoint. But being able to get out there and at least introduce offensive, defensive, and special team schemes has been beneficial. Being able to meet with our guys within rules here over the last month or so, we're farther ahead of the game than we would normally be in normal years. Because of what the NCAA allows us to do and the hours that are available to us in the off season to do football activities. So we're farther along. Expect us to hit the ground running on Saturday when we start practice. Obviously, day one of spring practice, we'll all be kind of learning each other and how things go and the tempo and the mentality that we want, but could not be more excited about getting out there on the field. I know our players are excited. Our coaches are excited. That's what we do. We love to be out on the grass coaching, and to finally get the opportunity to do that on Saturday morning, we can't wait. So it's been long enough. Seems like we've been talking about it for a while. So to finally be able to get out there and get started, we're looking forward to it and looking forward to having a great spring and getting better between now and April 24th when our spring game is. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions. And like I said, appreciate you guys being on today.
First question goes to David Cloninger.
Hey, Shane, good to see you again. Thanks for doing this. You mentioned several times since December that South Carolina is your dream job. Why do you feel that way? What makes this your dream job?
It's a lot. Personal, just my ties to this state, being born in Charleston, two of our children being born here in Columbia. My wife and I got married in Starkville, Mississippi, and after less than a year of marriage, we moved to Columbia. So this is really kind of the first place we lived as a married couple in our minds. I had a fantastic time here before and absolutely love this state. We vacation in this state every summer. The beaches, the mountains, you can go on and on and on. The city of Columbia is fantastic. So personal reasons for sure. And then just professional. To me, you have every resource here that you need to win championships, and that's what we're going to do. It's a great recruiting base. It's an unbelievable fan base. It's an elite academic institution. It's a fantastic place to live and go to school. We've got as good a football facility as anywhere in the country that our players and staff work in and out of each and every day. The Williams-Brice Stadium and what it's like every single Saturday. I mean, I've said it before, and it's the truth. Like, tell me what we're missing, because I haven't found it yet. And that's why, because you can win here and you can be really, really happy here from a personal standpoint and win a lot of football games in the process.
Pete Acabelli.
Hey, Shane. In these 2.5 months since you've been here full time, what have you learned about this team and some of these players?
One, there's great people in this program. We got a really good group of guys on this football team, guys that were already here and guys that we've added to the program since I was hired when I took over in December. And I've learned that we've got people here in this building that are some of the best in the country at what they do. Not just the coaches, but the hires we've made, people we've kept. Connor Shaw, Derek Moore, Kristen Coggin in nutrition is as good as it gets anywhere in the country. Fantastic at her role. Luke in the weight room, Clint Haggard in the training room, Larry Waters in the equipment room, George Wynn and Kim Fields in football operations, and Jessica Jackson and Justin King and Taylor Edwards in recruiting. I mean, I can go on and on and on, and I'm sure I just left somebody out, so I apologize. But it's just a fantastic group of people in this building. And then we got a great group of guys on this team that are hungry and are motivated to have success and to have it soon. They've done everything that we've asked them to do since we started out in January with our off-season program. There have been some bumps along the way and things that happen that you deal with as a family, and we have. But the way that they're working right now, that's what I've learned, is we've got a strong work ethic here and a strong desire to be successful.
Let's go to Mike Gillespie.
Hey, Shane, thanks so much for doing this. What are the things that you're looking for, first day you're getting on the field Saturday from your guys? What do you want to accomplish on day one?
Yeah, day one's always tough because it's new. It's especially new this year. We're not in pads. There's only so much you can do when you're out there in helmets. So it's knocking the rust off for one. Conditioning-wise, it'll be different. We'll be out there for a little over 2 hours on Saturday, and we haven't necessarily trained for 2.5 hours since we started in January. We've had sessions in the weight room, but that's different. As intense as that is, that's different than going out on the field for a 2+ hour practice. So just the mentality and the mindset that we want to have in practice, the competitive spirit. We're looking to see our guys compete. We're looking, to see how our guys, or not see how, but to make sure our guys are flying around and playing fast when they're out there, and being able to get lined up, execute what we have called these first initial days, and then as we get into full pads, being able to really evaluate where we are from a football standpoint. But if we can walk out of there on Saturday and say that that was a fast, efficient, crisp practice where guys were where they were supposed to be and finishing plays and competing, I'll be happy.
Greg Hadley from the state.
Hey Shane, I was just curious, are there any guys that are going to be limited or out this spring?
Yeah, we'll have a few that we're still working through. We're going to meet as a staff as soon as I get done with you guys, for sure. But we certainly have some guys, here or there that maybe got banged up here in the last few weeks with some of our walkthroughs and drills, competitive drills we've been doing at night. Some guys that are obviously recovering from some surgeries and things like that, or injuries from this past season. So no, we won't be full speed at every single position. We've got a handful of guys that'll be limited, and we got a handful of guys that we hope to get back before the end of spring, but we may not. But we're going to sit down with Clint Haggard here as soon as we finish this meeting and have a better idea about guys. Obviously, you guys are well aware of guys like Marshawn Lloyd coming off surgery and things like that. So we got to get those guys healthy, and they're moving right along and on track, and optimistic to get as many guys out there for the first spring practice at some point as we can.
Joe Machica from Daily Gamecock.
Coach, you've been bringing a lot of guys back. You had Tommy in the building these last couple of weeks. Can you describe what kind of culture that's setting for your team and just the morale of the program going forward?
Yeah, when the former players come back around, you mean? Just those guys paved the way, and to be able to have a guy like an Alshon Jeffrey or a Melvin Ingram or Patrick DeMarco, whoever, guys that have come back through the building. Steve Taneyhill, has been around, and obviously we got COVID protocols and all that we have to follow. But just being able to have guys that have been here before and can talk about this place and how it was built and what they did to get it to the level. Last week in a team meeting, we had Byron Gerardo and Shaq Wilson and Connor Shaw got up and spoke to our team, not about the glory days and all the great stuff they did, but how they did it and how they held each other accountable and what practices were like. So being able to hear from our players, be able to hear from guys like that, and then see guys like Melvin and Alshon that have played or are playing in the NFL and have been where our guys want to go, is certainly powerful. Because at the end of the day, all those guys that we're talking about, the one constant thing with all of them is they absolutely love South Carolina and what this place is about and the people of this place, and being able to hear that from our guys is awesome. And they, I get text messages all the time from former players, Stephon Gilmore and Alshon 2 nights ago, just wanting to know what's going on and checking in and things like that as well. I've said it before, and it's the truth. I mean, this is their program, and all the guys that came before those guys as well, from different generations. And I happen to be the head coach, but anytime you can get a former player around here, it's certainly makes a statement with our players.
Mike Yuba.
Hey Shane, I know there's a lot going on in terms of getting ready for spring football, and there'll be probably another time to reflect. But 100 days in on the job, I mean, what would you kind of just assess in terms of just what you've learned in terms of your first head coaching opportunity, and kind of just going back through these last couple months, just trying to get ready for this opportunity this weekend?
Yeah, it's been certainly been a whirlwind. I mean, there was a lot happening, as you guys know, in December and January. So certainly busy, and things coming at you every which direction. And thankful that I've got a great group of people around me here in this building that are very, very, very good at what they do, like I just talked about. And, I don't know if I necessarily learned anything. It's just the enormity of, every single decision that's made in this building comes across my desk, and understanding when you have to make those decisions, trusting your instinct and gathering all information and doing what you think is best for the University of South Carolina football program going forward. So, that's been the main thing, is just, trust in gut, trust in instinct, and learning how many great people we have in this building, players and coaches, has been great. Not that I didn't already know it, but has only been reiterated in that time.
Colin Taylor.
Hey, Shane. You were asked about day one on spring practice, but I'm going to kind of take an overarching thing. Just what is a successful spring practice for you? What do you want to see and learn about your team over these next 15 practices that makes you feel comfortable heading into the summer and then into training camp?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we'd love to stay healthy, obviously, throughout the spring. That's a given at all positions as well. But I think the biggest thing is just, one, from an overall standpoint, just understanding and learning the mentality and the temperament and the physicality that we want to practice with and play with every single time, we take the field. I would hope that when teams watch, or when fans and other teams watch us play in the fall, that they sit there and watch South Carolina play and say to themselves, my God, I've never seen a team play that hard. And being able to instill that mentality in our guys, not that they don't already have it, but making sure they understand how we want to play at all times, is one obviously thing we need to come out of spring practice with as something we get done for sure. We've got to develop depth. You would, normally in the springtime, a lot of places I've been, you would be able to work multiple groups at one time, meaning you might have 11 on 11 going on this field, but then you might have another team period of 11 versus 11 going on the other field. And unfortunately, right now, just because of some depth issues, particularly on defense, we can't do that. So all of our, team periods and 7-on-7 periods are going to be in one spot, one place on the field, and it's okay. You wish you were able to maximize the amount of reps. We just don't have the bodies right now to do that at all positions. So we've got to figure out what these guys can do, but then also develop depth at all positions. Whether you're limited from a number standpoint or not, we've got to develop depth and figure out who those guys are that we can count on going forward, and who we can count on in the spring, or in the fall as well. So that's the main thing, depth, and the way that we want to practice and play is the biggest thing. And then just figuring out, like I said, like what we do well. And I've talked about it before, but I hired 3 coordinators that are very multiple and flexible in their systems. And we want to accentuate the strengths of our offense, defense, and special teams. So being able to determine that during spring practice and figuring out what we're going to look at or look like in all 3 phases going forward in the fall.
Rick Henry.
Hey, Shane, good seeing you again. I can only imagine that your level of anticipation and excitement just keeps getting higher and higher as you look ahead to that first spring practice as Carolina's head coach. And you mentioned the list of things you want to get accomplished on the first day and during spring practice. But is there something you've been thinking about that you're telling yourself, man, I don't want to do that, either on the first day of spring practice or throughout, maybe something you've seen another coach do or something you've done in the past, and when it's all said and done, you said, man, I can't believe I did that?
Good question. No, man, just hope we can get out there at the right time and everybody be where they're supposed to be. I mean, it's the main thing. And I've spent a lot of time on that. That's been one thing that, as the assistant coach, you go into a staff meeting, the head coach is like, all right, here's what practice is, and here's what we're doing, and go. And you just kind of went off that. But now as the head coach, I mean, you're planning everything. And for the last, starting probably in January, just kind of putting together what I wanted all 14 spring practices and then the spring game, obviously, to look like. I mean, it's very detailed, as it should be, as far as what we're doing and when and where on the field that we're doing it. And that's probably the biggest thing is, as I've put together, like, all right, the offensive line versus defensive line are going to be working in this specific area of the field during this period, and then realizing, oh shoot, I screwed something up. I really should have put them over there because they're going over here next, and things like that as well. So that's probably the main thing. But we got a lot of smart people in this building that can make things right. And the biggest thing is just the excitement of getting out there and wanting a practice to look like you want it to look like. Just wanting to do everything in your power to make sure that happens.
Lou Bijak.
Shane, you mentioned about the former players being around and that. Any chance any more come on staff in some sort of role? I know DeMarco, when he retired, kind of expressed some interest. Any other guys that might come on with the program?
Very sneaky how you got that one in and the way you phrased it as well. I like that. I hope so. I mean, anytime you can add a former player to this staff, I'd love to be able to do that, for sure. And there's a lot of qualified guys out there. Patrick DeMarco being one of them that, certainly someone that loves Carolina and loves Carolina football as well, that I have a lot of respect for. So anytime there's we have news about a staff member or new addition or to the staff, we'll certainly let you guys know. But right now we don't, have anything to say, but we'll see where we are going forward.
Josh Kendall.
Hey, sorry. I had to get all my technical ducks in a row here.
Come on, Josh. You got to lock in now. Your spring practice cranking up. You're a little rusty.
This is me locked in. That's the problem. So, first of all, Marshawn Lloyd, what does his progression look like? He participates in the spring game, or is that not a possibility? Is he going to be more limited than that? Where is he on that spectrum?
I think we're so far away from the spring game, it would be hard to say yay or nay on him right now when something is, over a month away. But I can tell you this, I mean, he's been fantastic this offseason. I was just telling him a couple of days ago how impressed I am with him. I mean, you talk about we track everything here as any program does, but just giving our guys kind of a score each week of taking care of their business, not just in this building, but outside this building. And he's right up there at the very top of our team as far as accountability goes, just being everywhere that he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there, whether it be meetings, walkthroughs, class, treatment, nutrition. I mean, he's doing everything right now. So he is certainly on track and has been out there for all of our stuff that we've been doing as a team at night in a limited capacity, and excited to watch him continue to progress.
And secondly, on quarterbacks, do you enter the spring with Luke Doty as your returning starter and incumbent at the position, or do you enter with a clean slate there, and how do you break up the reps?
No, I think every single position is a clean slate. I mean, we weren't here last year, and we got a lot of new faces, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've spent like zero time talking with our staff about, this guy's the returning starter at this position. I mean, it's wide open for everybody. One of the core values of this program is competition, and we're going to be about competition every single day. So the fact that Luke Doty is the only quarterback that we have in the building that has started a game at Carolina, and there's 4 in that room with Jason Colton and Connor, and 2 of those guys just got here in January. Yeah, I would imagine that Luke Doty is going to go out there with the first offense on Saturday morning and take the first rep with the first offense. And then after that, it's wide open competition. So Coach Satterfield and I have spent a lot of time talking about reps and how we're rotating guys, and we're going to practice at a pace on Saturday that we're going to get a lot of reps done in practice from start to finish. So those guys will have plenty of opportunities to show what they can do, not just at the quarterback position, but at every single position that we have on the team.
Have a philosophical thought about when you need to have a starting quarterback in theory? Would you like to have a guy who you tab the starter at the end of spring so that you can go through the offseason with a kind of a bell cow, or does that not matter?
No, I think it's always good when you can. Certainly as you headed to summer workouts and the team knows that, okay, this guy's our starting quarterback, and to empower him with that leadership ability, sure. But, I think back to Georgia 2016. I think Grayson Lambert was our quarterback over there, and then he was the starting quarterback all off season, and then Jacob Eason took over shortly thereafter. And then 2017, Jacob Eason was our quarterback, and Jake Fromm took over after Jacob got hurt. I look at my experience at Oklahoma with Lincoln, and I mean, we had a quarterback competition, as crazy as it sounds. We had a quarterback competition with Kyler Murray, and then Austin Kendall from up the road in Charlotte that ended up transferring to West Virginia. That was a competition where Lincoln didn't announce a starting quarterback until literally, I think, a week before or 10 days before the first game. So certainly as you get within about a week and a half of the first game, you better have a starting quarterback name just so you can divvy up the reps properly and things like that. But I've been a part of every end of the spectrum where you've got a returning quarterback and he's the starter all season, to you have a quarterback and he ends up getting beat out, to you have a competition that's not announced until a week before the first game. So I've seen it all work. But yeah, ideally you'd have a guy, but again, I mean, after spring practice ends, we're pretty solidified on roles, but we're constantly competing because there's a whole, preseason camp at all those positions as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael and Anna.
Hey, Shane. On last year's team, there are a couple of guys who opted out, obviously due to unique circumstances with COVID and everything going on. Guys like, RJ, Roderick, or Trey Smith. And I'm just kind of curious, what's it been like, welcoming those guys back, getting them back incorporated with the program, and what have, I guess, the conversations, been like with those guys?
Yeah, they've been great. I can't speak for their decisions last year and the dynamics on the team when they made the decisions that they did, but those guys were people that I met with individually, just like every single player on this team, like I've talked to you guys about. And I met with RJ and his mom in my office, and I met with Ortrey and his mom in my office. And I've had conversations, with their moms since then, and those guys as well. And we welcomed them back with open arms if they wanted to be here, which they did. And they've been fantastic. I remember going into both their high schools when I was coaching at Georgia, and we were recruiting both those guys, and so have known of them obviously for a long time. And they've been great, the way they've worked in the weight room and handled their business on and off the field. They've been great, and from everything I can tell, they've been the dynamic with their teammates has been awesome also.
Dick Cox.
Shane, with your competitions at night and your work in the weight room, what players have really maybe jumped out and got your attention, and who do you see as being your leaders going into spring practice?
We got a bunch. I mean, we're trying to put our guys in as many situations to lead as possible, and I've talked to them about this. I mean, we've got a lot of really good guys that have that leadership quality that we're trying to increase and put them in roles, and put all of our guys in roles. I mean, to me, you can have 100 guys that are quote unquote leaders. If they're doing the right thing on and off the field, they're affecting somebody in a positive way, which I think we have a lot of guys doing that. And then your best leaders, vocal, not vocal, that type thing. I mean, those guys will separate themselves over time for sure. So I think there's a lot of guys that are certainly trying to do that. And I would say this, I mean, they've during those competitive things that we've done each evening, it's been fun to see a lot of guys, the way they compete. And we put these guys in a lot of different competitions with a lot of different, against a lot of different type people as well. And I think a lot of those guys have stepped up. I mean, I'm not going to, name names, but there's a bunch of older guys that have me fired up, and there's a lot of younger guys that have me fired up as well. And it's been impressive just to see the consistency of some guys. Night after night after night after night, they just constantly, stay up there at the top in our rankings as we do it based on their win-loss record in those competitions.
Gene Sapikoff.
Shane, what is the key to player development, and how good do you think your staff is going to be at player development?
We better be really good, and I think we are. Like I said earlier, I mean, I think Luke Day and his staff are unbelievable as far as the physical part of developing these guys, but then just the mental and total person, everything as well. It all ties together. But it's not just going there in the weight room. It's everything, and to have Kristen Coggin and what she does for our guys in nutrition, I mean, she's unreal at how good she is at her job. And if our guys, which they are, take advantage of that, they are going to develop because of how we're able to take care of them from a nutrition standpoint. Derek Moore and Connor Shaw with what those guys do from a character development, because that affects what you're doing on the field as well. Clint Haggard in the training room and the way that we keep these guys healthy and develop them in the training room as well. It's all of us and then the coaches on the field. But we've got to be a program that develops these guys. I mean, even when I was here before, I mean, I just think about a guy like a Devin Taylor, for example, from down in Beaufort, down in the Low Country where you are, and the way that Devin came here and just developed. I mean, he had a lot of freakish athleticism, but he wasn't highly recruited. I think South Carolina and Virginia Tech were his two biggest offers, and we were able to get him in here, and he worked really hard, and we developed him where he came out bigger and faster and stronger and had a great career in the NFL. And there's a lot of stories. You mentioned Pat DeMarco. Pat DeMarco is a guy that was hardly recruited at all and signed, and probably a lot of people were like, who? When South Carolina signed him, and he goes on to have a two Pro Bowl, two Pro Bowls, goes to a Super Bowl, and has a 10, 11-year NFL career. So we've done a great job in the past developing guys, and really confident in the group of people I have with me here now to continue that.
Phil Kornbluth.
Hey, Shane. From what you've seen of the guys that you recruited out of the transfer portal, do you think you hit a home run on that group? What have you judged from those guys going into spring practice?
I hope so. I mean, I really, like their work ethic and the way that they've attacked things and how grateful they are to be here. That's been great to see. But I think so. I mean, it's hard to tell, Phil, just in the weight room and the drills and walkthroughs that we do outside. Everything that we've seen in that, certainly they've shown some things that really have you excited to watch them continue to progress. But until we get out there and start practicing, particularly when the pads come on, it's hard to say. But there's no one that we've looked at and said, I'm not sure we made the right decision taking that guy. That hasn't happened one time. And those guys, like I said, are really, really fired up and grateful to be here. And that's what I'm excited to see also.
Hale McGranahan.
Everything okay, Phil? That's just one, my man.
I didn't want to be like Josh and hog the moment.
You'd love to be like me, Phil.
Hale McGranahan.
I think I might have a couple. First, what's your overall philosophy, just kind of generally with cross training within positions? Obviously, they're like offensive linemen who could play multiple spots, DB, maybe even receiver. How will you guys approach that this spring?
Yeah, no, the more you can do, the better. We talk about it on special teams as well, that, you may be the left guard on the punt team. You better know how to be the left tackle and the right guard on the punt team as well, because the more you can do and the more dependable you are, the better. And that's no different than any other position as well. So we got to make sure we do a good job of not moving guys around and asking a defensive back to play 5 different spots on the defense or whatnot. They've got to get really good at their position, but certainly we've got to have the flexibility to put people in different places, whether it be the offensive personnel and where our guys are lining up based on their skill set, or the offensive line, like you mentioned, guys being able to swing and play different spots. At the end of the day, we want to get our best players on the field, and a lot of that is going to have to be because of the flexibility they have to move around.
And with recruiting looking like the dead period will maybe come to an end at the end of May, is that something that you've had conversations with other coaches in the league or across the country? And what's sort of your stance on the way that's kind of looking right now?
Yeah, I hope so. We've had some every couple of weeks as SEC head coaches have a Zoom meeting with Commissioner Sankey and everyone in the SEC office, and I know we're all in favor of that and hoping that everything from a COVID standpoint is under control and we're able to open this thing back up. And no one will be more excited when that happens than this program because there is so much good going on in this building right now, so much energy, so much excitement. that's happening. But there's only so much of that, or only a certain amount of that you can convey on a virtual Zoom recruiting visit with a prospect. We can't wait to get these guys, one, into this magnificent facility that's going to blow them away as soon as they walk into this thing, but two, just to meet this staff and see what's new about South Carolina football and feel the energy in this building. So if they open this thing up on June 1st, we will be sitting here waiting, ready to open everyone up with welcome everyone with open arms the minute that opens. But yeah, all my conversations with other coaches, from guys in the SEC to Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, we're all full speed ahead if we're allowed to. And we as a program have been making, plans as if it is going to be open in June, and we're going to be able to have camps and official visits and unofficial visits and everything else. And then at the end, if they tell us, no, you're not able to, then we'll adjust. But right now we're full speed ahead and planning on that happening.
And within your team for these next several weeks or so, what are the protocols and procedures y'all are dealing with, from testing and dealing with COVID and vaccines, just kind of running the gamut with all that stuff right now?
Right now, we're still testing regularly and following the lead of our medical professionals, and we tested this morning as well, and trying to be very careful and cautious and smart and doing everything and not get lax. I know there's some other programs across the country, whether it be basketball teams that are dealing with it, or I think I read about a football team that had to pause activities here this week because of it. And we certainly don't want to be in that position. So we're being smart and continuing down the protocols that we've had before. And when we're allowed to get everyone the vaccine and all that stuff, when they tell us we're able to, we're ready and willing.
That it, Hill? Good?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Eric Boynton.
Yeah, Shane, obviously you've got a coaching staff getting used to a new roster and vice versa, but what can you and your staff do to kind of help facilitate camaraderie within the players as quickly as possible, since you've got double-digit transfers from various levels of former colleges and the new signing class and players back from last year? How can you kind of bring these guys together as a collective group?
Yeah, great question. That's been a point of emphasis for us and something that we've tried to do as much as we possibly can. And it's because of COVID and whatnot, it's a little bit more difficult than maybe it would be in a normal year to get the whole team together in one setting. We had a team cookout in January up here the night before we started winter workouts, and that was great. And we've been doing, we do our team meetings in the indoor facility so we can spread out. But we've had some pretty powerful and impactful team meetings during the week, throughout the off season. It's been really good. That I think has helped foster that a little bit, and just trying to put our guys in as many situations where we're together as a team. Just other than that cookout and the team meeting, the first night we went out on that field for the competition drills, the competitive toughness as we call it. The first night we did that was really the first time that the 2021 football team had been outdoors together on the football field at one time. So you guys have seen everything on social media, and the energy that wasn't fake. That was real, and that was the joy that our players felt of being out on the field competing, but being together as a team. And the team aspect of everything has been a major point of emphasis for me, since I got the job and stepped in here day one. And we're trying to do everything we can to do that. And to me, there's nothing better than just being together as a team as much as we can and getting to know each other, like you said, because we do have a lot of new people. So we're trying to force our guys in different ways to get to know each other as a group and individuals as well.
John Whittle.
Couple things on the wide receiver position. It wasn't a very productive group last year. What have you seen up to this point that makes you think that they can be a little bit more productive? And how much is it with those guys in spring practice in terms of building their confidence and helping them mentally versus just doing things right physically as well?
Yeah, certainly you got to have confidence to go out there and play. So we want to, from a schematic standpoint, put those guys in positions where they know what they're doing and they can go just play fast and not have to think. So that's any position. But I'm excited about the wide receiver group. There's a lot of number one, they got the best wide receivers coach in the country coaching them, which I'm excited about. And then Justin Stepp. And then two, it's a hungry group. I mean, I remember coming out here in December and watching the one bowl practice that we had before the decision was made not to play in the game, and just remember thinking that that's a really good group of receivers as far as how the size. And we got guys with size, we got guys with strength, length, guys that can run, and again, it's a fresh start for them, just like everybody. But that's going to be a competitive group, because that is, when you look at just total number of players at the position, that's a group that's pretty deep for us compared to other positions on the team. So that's a lot of guys that are going to be competing to figure out, who are our best players. And those guys are competing with the tight ends, for example, to, let's see what tight ends step up. And are we going to be a team that plays with 0 tight ends on the field, or are we a team that plays with 3 tight ends on the field? And we got a system offensively that will allow us to do that, to get our best players on the field regardless of position. But it's going to be an exciting competition in a lot of spots, wide receiver especially.
John Del Bianco.
Hey, Shane, how have the medical professionals that the program work with kind of educated you as a staff and players about the vaccine when it does become available? And do you sense any hesitation among, staff members or players about getting it when it is available to them?
I don't think so. I'm scared to death of needles and shots and all that. So if anybody has any apprehension, it's probably me. But no, Clint Haggard and our medical professionals have been great. They're a lot smarter than I am. So Clint has done a great job of alleviating any concerns and answering questions. Because when he and I have talked about it individually, I've had questions, which if I have questions, I know our coaches and players do. So we've given him opportunities to speak to our entire team. We've given him opportunities to speak to our entire coaching staff, and that will continue as well from that standpoint.
Pete Acabelli.
Hey, Shane, I just wanted to follow up on something you said super early about you playing with Coach Anderson and the women's golf team. Can you hang with them out there? Is this another golf crazy coaching tenure like we had with Coach Spurrier when he was here?
I don't know if we'll be that crazy. That was 4 days a week this time of year. So as a first-time head coach, I have enough trouble right now getting enough done working from early in the morning till late in the evening. I'm fitting in 4 hours of golf would be tough. But no, I certainly love to play and really enjoyed being out there and watching them that day. We had 2 foursomes, and our women's team teed off first, and after seeing the 4 of them hit their tee shots, we made sure that they got well ahead of us before we teed off, and certainly didn't want to bring them down by any stretch of the imagination. I asked Kaylin to kind of check my swing out a couple times, and I think she was worried about watching me maybe rubbing off on her team, so I couldn't get her to stay around and watch me play anymore, because we certainly didn't want to bring them down. But love watching them. They're fantastically talented and a great group of ladies as well.
Shane, I want to ask one more thing. What's the craziest golf time you had with Coach Spurrier?
Oh man. I think I told the story before, but the first time I played with him, where I had played pretty good the time before. That was my first time here as a member of the staff, and one of the other assistant coaches had told Coach Spurrier that I was a pretty good golfer because I played pretty good that day. And then Coach Spurrier was like, really? Okay, well, Shane, next time we play, or he used to call me Beamer, next time we play, you're going to play in my group. So it's my boss. It's my first time playing with him. I'm really nervous. We actually played it down the road at Sage Valley. So I'm going to a place like Sage Valley, beautiful, fantastic, already nervous. I'm playing with my head coach, playing with my boss, and I didn't play well. So by the time we got to, I guess it would have been the second hole, I think it's the par 3. By the time I hit my tee ball on the par 3, he had already kicked me out of his group and sent me back to the group behind him, as he called the F troop, as he called it. So, Beamer, you going back there and play with the F troop, and the rest of us will keep playing up here. So that was probably the craziest. It got better from there, but we certainly had some good competitions and enjoyed our time together on the golf course for sure. But he's a fierce competitor on the football field and on the golf course also.
John Whittle.
you mentioned competition is one of y'all's core values. Do you have a list of those? What are the other core values of your program?
We talk about it, and I'm sorry if I haven't talked about it before, but love's a big thing for us. Loving playing football here at Carolina and loving being a part of the team. Gratitude, grateful to be here, and like as grateful I am the coach and come in this building. We want our guys to feel that way as well. All the things that I've talked about, all of them, indirectly or directly. Positive energy is one. The positivity that we want to have, and that doesn't mean that everything's always great, because it's not gonna be, but staying positive and corrected and coaching hard and all that, to me, is being positive as well. Trust, toughness, accountability, competition, so they're all words that you hear me say all the time, but those are things that we believe in, and like Luke Day says all the time, if it's important, then you need to track it, and we try and do our best to track all of those things with our players as well, day in, day out.
All right, seeing no more hands up, we will let Coach go and look forward to seeing y'all Saturday morning.
Yep, you got it. Thanks, guys. See you
Sounds good.
Saturday.